Central C, Can't Rush Greatness. Let's talk about it. How y'all doing? Welcome to Let's Talk About It, Music Review Season 11. How y'all doing? Welcome to the show. We got a good episode for you today because we got Central C. Now, I'm not going to lie, guys. Have I been excited? Have I been ecstatic talking about Central C recently? I mean, I'm just going to be real with y'all. Not really. I mean, Central C, he's a fine rapper. He's an okay rapper. An okay drill rapper. But is he anything that I go on a different level than other stuff that I reviewed on this channel, on this, podcast? I don't know. But Central C, I will say, he can flow on a beat. He can sound really confident on the beat. And he can always do his thing on a goddamn beat. So, this album review is not going to be really from the standpoint from somebody who's been covering Central C for a long time and has liked everything that he's put out. There's been some things that Central C has put out that I could really care less for. So, let's talk about this album, Can't Rush Greatness. I mean, this is already a pretty good, confident album title. I mean, if you want to put if you're putting, now guys, already I really enjoy the title of this album. One of the things that I love about music, or I cover rap music, is people talking their shit. Guys, I can't tell you, as a content creator myself, as somebody who has put out myself to a lot of people, one of the things that I love that a lot of artists do is that they're going to tell you the truth. They're going to talk shit. They're going to say, that these people are not shit. And this is already a great standpoint. When you can have this much confidence, when you can title an album like Can't Rush Greatness, that already shows that you are already so high on yourself that, I mean, it oozes off into the project. I'm not talking about fake egos, or I'm talking about that energy or whatever. I'm just talking about the confidence. When you can really hear the confidence, when you can really see the confidence, already having that kind of album title, that pours in to the whole project. Now, it might come off a little bit cocky, especially if you don't deliver this greatness of an album. It might come off a little bit like that. I can't even lie. But I already love the standpoint of, I'm going to put this body of work out. It's going to be called Can't Rush Greatness. I'm going to tell people that I'm already greatness. I'm already this. And I like that. I like that confidence. I think it absolutely goddamn hits. So already off the bat, the title of this album already hits. But guys, before we get into that though, album reviews. This is the first album review of 2025, which is kind of funny. Central C's the first one, but he's the first one. And how we do album reviews is that I'm going to have 3 overall points that I'm going to go over, that I'm going to talk about. And then we will go over an individual track. I will rank each track out of 1 out of 5. And then I'll give my overall thoughts and score at the end of the album review. Guys, I've spent this week listening to this album. I've worked out with this album. I've heard this album a few different times. I'm ready to talk about this album. I'm ready to give you my full thoughts, guys. Before we do that, if you're on YouTube, Spotify, Pandora, wherever you get your podcast at, make sure you follow, turn on notifications, because Thursday night, guys, hey, you know what I said. All the music that's been dropping lately hasn't felt explosive, hasn't felt big. Well, Thursday night, guys, a whole bunch of music is dropping. Albums, too. We will be doing 2 episodes a day starting Thursday night and going forward. So if you really need some content, guys, we are dropping content. I'm fully back, ready to drop all kinds of content. I'm so ready. So make sure you follow this show. Thursday night, 2 episodes a day. We're about to get crazy in this goddamn show again. Guys, enough wasting the time. Let's talk about Central C, Can't Rush Greatness, album review. I got a couple of points I want to get off my chest. Starting off with number 1. First point, guys, when we talk about this album, how is the production? How is the production overall in this album? Now look, you know, when we talk about Central C, when we talk about UK drill rappers, there is a problem with a lot of drill music that the production of drill music sounds pretty similar. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I mean, these beats are pretty 1-2. And, you know, the way that I think Central C is trying to get around that, trying to show that, you know, maybe you don't need this, you know, typical drill beat to sound good, is that I feel like he's choosing a lot of instrumentals that don't have, you know, they're not heavy on the drums. They're heavy on the piano. They're heavy on these kind of hi-hat, you know, moments. But you're not really getting that full-on drop. Now, of course, there is those tracks where it's the full-on drill beat, boom, boom. We all know with Central C, of course there is. But we do have a little bit of a kind of a switch up. You know, this album really does feel like, you know, drill and then like chill R&B drill, which is kind of funny. And it's kind of the evolutionary step towards drill, in my opinion, to go in this more kind of R&B centric kind of sound. I think it's there. I think it, you know, I've heard some drill R&B, you know, beats together that they sound really good, and I like the combination. So, you know, I'm okay with, you know, drill going down that lane. But guys, you know, not a lot of, you know, when there's not a lot of drums, or there's not a lot of this, or there's not a lot of those elements, now I'm going, okay, so what's different about the newer production on this album? And the only difference is that there's more piano. And that's kind of funny to say, guys, but I'm not even kidding. I mean, there's whole songs where Central C is just rapping over a piano loop. And that's kind of what it feels like. And it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny hearing it, because I go, you know, I'm liking how Central C doesn't want to keep the typical drill sound, but I'm not liking that, you know, okay, here's how I'm going to show that I'm different. We're just going to rap over a piano. We're going to do the same flow. We're going to do the same style of my song, but we're going to throw a little bit of a piano, or we're going to throw a little bit of a pop sound to it and not really do anything else to it. So that's definitely a bummer. If you were hoping for some more variety with production with Central C on this album, I don't think you're getting it. It's even bad to the point where some songs just kind of blend in. And also, you know, one of the things that I don't like too is that I don't like how there's a lot of pop-heavy samples too. There's a lot of pop-heavy samples, and then they'll just kind of morph the sample and then just throw on a completely different beat, which, what's the point of the sample in the beginning? It's just kind of dragging on the song. Do I need this like 30-second like pop little sample, and then we do a completely different beat, a whole completely different style? You know, Central C's rapping on here. You know, it's just these things that I'm going, okay, these are just meant to drag out the song, because there's no way that those elements were put into the song and they said, okay, this is, you know, what the song needs. I don't fucking think the song needed a 30-second sample in the beginning, but that's what we got in this album. And there's a couple of those examples. Even the last track of the album had that 30-second fucking sample in the beginning that just added nothing to the track. So that's definitely disappointing on that front end. So if you were expecting diverse production or some, you know, different production from Central C, something a little bit more than what we know from him so far, you're definitely not getting it on this album. Now, guys, my second point. I mean, let's talk about Central C. How does Central C sound on this album? You know, production is one thing, but if you can really carry yourself and really put out a good track on every album, on this album, I mean, I'm always going to give props to that. And I think Central C, you know, there's some pop tracks where Central C doesn't really sound good in. You know, it kind of just feels like he's kind of just doing it to, you know, mix the album up a little bit, you know, so it doesn't all, you know, blend together. But I really like Central C on this album because, for one thing, is I like the flow switch-ups. I like the flows that he's playing with in all of the tracks on this album. And also, I really like the emotional deep cuts in this album, too. I mean, when we have production that is, stale or it's kind of the same, but we have Central C kind of rapping his ass off, kind of pouring his heart into the lyrics, that is just going to overall bring up the album for me. And I kind of like how Central C really shows his vulnerability here, really shows that he can really flow on some different beats, and I like overall how confident he is on this track. Now, we got to get into another negative, because the third point, how do the features stack up on this album? God, I mean, look, Dave, I think Dave, we'll talk about it. Dave was one of the features that I was like, I like this feature, this is great, this is good. But I'm not going to lie, the rest of the features on this album, I mean, even Lil Baby, band for band, wasn't that good. So, I don't really like the features on here. Lil Durk just doesn't sound good on this album at all. And besides only Dave, because I know Dave can rap really good on drill beats and has a unique flow and does his thing on here, the other features on this album just do not stack up at all. And the features are definitely the low point of this album. It's definitely a low point. Now, those are my points, guys. Those are my overall points. Let's move on and let's go over each individual track. All right, Central C, Can't Rush Greatness. Let's go over every track. I'm gonna rank them 1 to 5. So let's start off with No Introduction. I don't like these no introduction tracks. I don't like this title. I don't like how these tracks sound. I don't like the build. If you're gonna do an intro track, do an intro track to an album. I don't like this no introduction. I don't like this. I don't like this. This is like a 3 out of 5 intro. Who cares? I'm just getting to 5. I'm just waiting for 5-star. You should have just had 5-star in the beginning. We're just waiting for 5-star. I don't understand the point of an introduction. Here's what I'm saying, guys. Don't do skits. Don't do intros. Don't do... I wouldn't even do interludes, too, if you're not even going to do them. All right? 5-star, though, is the first track off the album, and I think it's a pretty good track. I like the beat, I like the flow, I like everything here. I like how Central C sounds on here. This is an easy 4 out of 5. The next track is Gata featuring Young Myco. Again, Young Myco, the feature was so unnecessary. I mean, Young Myco was okay, but I just didn't really care for it. Gata was alright. 3 out of 5. St. Patrick's. Guys, again, St. Patrick's. It's one of those Central C songs that it's kind of just there. It's kind of just there. It's short. It's kind of, the production is nothing to it. The flows I'm not really messing with it that much. But it's okay, I guess. This is like a 3 out of 5. Now, GBP featuring 21 Savage. I like the 21 Savage feature. I like how 21 Savage sounds on here. I like this beat. I like the elements in this beat. I think this is one of the better production-wise in Central C. 4 out of 5. Top Freestyle. Top Freestyle is definitely a good track. I like the Top Freestyle because, you hear a little bit of Central C and, a little bit of some emotion from Central C on this, freestyle. I like how he sounds on here. 4 out of 5. Up North. Again, Up North is one of those tracks where it's just, it's okay. It's just okay. I could care less for it. I like the beat. I like the flow, but this is one of those tracks that I just wouldn't come back to. CRG featuring Dave. Like I said, CRG is a good track. I like the beat. I like how Dave sounds on here. Central C sounds confident as ever. CRG is a pretty good track. I would say so. Limitless is when we get back into the, it's okay, it's all right. 3 out of 5. Now We're Strangers. Now We're Strangers is actually a pretty good track. I like the vulnerability here with Central C. I like how he sounds on here. I like his confidence, the flow. I think this is one of those tracks that definitely works. 4 out of 5. Truth and the Lies, featuring Lil Durk. This is definitely one of the low points of the album. This is like 1 out of 5. This track is terrible. I hate the production. I hate how Central C sounds on here. And Lil Durk's verse just sounds offbeat and a mess. 10, featuring Skepta. I've heard about Skepta on a track that he did a feature with recently that I enjoy. I enjoy listening to it off my free time. But I'm going to be real. I think Skepta and Central C blend a little bit too... They blend a little bit too much. Skepta's not really adding anything to the track. It just kind of feels like another Central C verse, just kind of being, And also, I do like the playfulness of Central C and Skepta going back and forth on the hook. I like that part, but Skepta's verse was pretty short and just nothing to it. 3 out of 5. Band for Band, featuring a Lil Baby. This was a good track when it came out. But was there anything that I went, oh, fuck yeah, I like this track, I like how Lil Baby sounds on it? Hell fucking no. Who the hell is listening to Band for Band in 2025? Let's just be real, guys. Who the fuck cares? This track is just okay, at best. 3 out of 5. Gen C Love. I like it. I like the hook. I think the hook is good because the hook has a nice flow to it. And I also like the beat, but again, it's that simple pop, drill combo that just doesn't go well together because, the drill drums are not there, but the hi-hats from the drill are there, and the same way the beat is fucking made is like a fucking drill beat, but it's more pop-based. It just blows my mind. But Gen Z Love, I think, is okay. It's kind of funny going from Gen Z Love to Walk in a Wardrobe, which Walk in a Wardrobe is not even a good track. This track is not good. I don't like the production. Also, Gen Z Love's getting getting a 4 out of 5. It's okay. All right, Walk in a Wardrobe, actually, we'll give it a 3 out of 5. I don't like it that much, Gen Z Love. Walk in Wardrobe is definitely a switch up. It's a switch up. But it's one of those switch-ups after Gen Z Love where I'm going, all right, we're just going to completely throw out any concept for Gen Z Love. We're just going to completely throw that in the trash at Walk in a Wardrobe. The beat's just okay, and that's just kind of it. All right, 2 out of 5. Must Be. Again, I don't understand what these, short tracks are. I mean, just give us Don't Know Anymore. Must Be is just okay. It's a really short Central C track. It doesn't add much to the whole album, and it kind of just makes it where I go, what am I listening to? Don't Know Anymore. Look, Don't Know Anymore. I mean, guys, I don't like this sample. I don't like the beginning. I don't like how the beginning's dragged out. And I also don't know, I don't like how this track abruptly ends, because this is supposed to be the final track of the album, and it doesn't feel like a final track at all. It just feels like I'm listening to, again, another okay Central C song, but this one now has a shitty sample in the beginning, and the song drags out even longer now because of the shitty sample. I would be fine if the song dragged on and Central C was doing something with that. But he's not. 3 out of 5. Look, guys, Can't Rush Greatness. I think, for being a Central C album, I don't know if this is his first album. I'm assuming so. This is his first, album. It's okay. It's an okay album. I think if you want... I just think if you want, motivational, workout music, I don't know if this Central C album is really going to give you any of that, but, maybe it will. I like Central C on this album. I like what he does here. I like how he shows some cracks and some vulnerability and stuff like that. But I think we need more. And I think Central C needs to go back into the lab a little bit, because Can't Rush Greatness is an alright album. But this is one of those albums where I just listen to it because this is what I do. And then I'm never going to touch this album again, because there's not a lot of tracks on here that really stand out. Production is stale. Central C, after you get over, 5 or 10 songs, Central C becomes stale. This man doesn't change up anything. There's glimpses of changing up, but, you're not changing up anything when you throw a sample in the beginning. You're not changing up anything when you don't put the drill drums in your beat. You're not changing up anything, because you're doing the same style of song over and over and over and over again. And the features did not help with this album at all. Which is kind of shocking. I think the only feature on here that was really good was Dave. And then Skepta had I like the back and forth with Skepta, but that was it. So there's just not a lot to this album that I could really grasp onto, not a lot to talk about, because, again, a lot of songs just blend together. Central C, Can't Rush Greatness, it's an okay album. I'll give it like a 5 out of 10. 5 out of 10. What'd y'all think about it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? I don't know. Let me know. Thank God we are done talking about Central C, because Thursday night we're going to be talking about so many other artists that I have way more interesting, guys, that I'm excited to do 2 episodes a day again, guys. I'm very excited to be putting out some content that I really want to put out. Guys, Central C was an okay album, but not anything that I'm going, this is going to shake up 2025. Central C is definitely not doing that in 2025, because this album is just okay. Alright, guys. If you're on YouTube, Spotify, Pandora, wherever you get your podcast at, make sure you follow, turn on notifications. I'll see you later. You have a good one. Bye.